The ship shook as it entered the atmosphere of Proxima Centauri b. Gia held onto her seat, her knuckles turning white. This was her first trip to another planet. After years of study on Earth, she was finally going to do real work as a xenobiologist. 5 minutes to landing, said the ship's computer. All passengers returned to seats. Gia checked her safety belt again. The small window beside her showed red clouds rushing past as they dropped toward the surface. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a child looking up at the stars from her home in Korea. The ship landed with a soft bump. Gia gathered her small bag of personal items. Her work tools and clothes had been sent ahead. She stepped out into the airlock with 5 other new workers. The air smelled clean but strange as it cycled through the filters. "Welcome to Proxima Research Station," said a tall man in a gray uniform. His face was stern, with dark eyes that seemed to look through her. "I am Director Han. You will follow all rules here without question. Your safety depends on it." Gia nodded along with the others. Director Han did not smile as he led them through sliding doors into a large, well-lit hall. The walls were white, metal, and the floor shone under bright lights. "This station is run by the United Earth Research Coalition," Han continued as they walked. "You are here to study alien microbes. Nothing more." Something in his tone made Gia feel uneasy. She had been told this was a place of open scientific research. Han made it sound more like a military base. They turned down a long hallway with doors on both sides. Han pointed to screens beside each door. "Your hand on the screen will open your room only. Do not try to enter areas where you are not allowed." Gia noticed some doors had red lights above them. When she looked at one, Han stepped into her view. "Those are restricted areas. You will never need to go there." He showed Gia to her room. It was small but clean, with a bed, desk, and small bathroom. A window looked out over the red-orange landscape of the planet. Rocks and dust stretched to the horizon, with the curve of the planet visible in the distance. "Rest today. Work begins tomorrow at 600 hours, Han said, then left her alone. Gia unpacked her few personal things. A small photo of her family, a plant from Earth in a sealed container, a book of old poems. As she placed them on her desk, her computer screen lit up. She thought it might be a welcome message, but instead, it was a single line of text that disappeared after she read it. "They're hiding something in Lab Section 7. Be careful who you trust." Gia looked around her room, suddenly aware that she might be watched. Who had sent that message? And why to her? Later, she went to the dining hall. Other workers sat in small groups talking quietly. Gia got a tray of food and sat alone, watching. Everyone. A woman in a lab coat sat down across from her. "You're Gia, right? The new xenobiologist?" "I'm Sue. I work in the main lab." Sue smiled, but her eyes were serious. She leaned forward. "Has Director Han given you your work assignment yet?" "No," Gia said. "Just told me to report tomorrow morning." Sue nodded. "They'll probably put you on the standard microbe analysis. Simple stuff." Gia frowned. "I came here to study complex alien life forms. That's what my assignment said." Sue's smile faded. "There's a lot they don't tell you until they know they can trust you." Before Gia could ask what she meant, an alarm sounded. Not loud, but enough to make everyone look up. "Shift change," Sue explained, standing. "I have to go. Find me tomorrow. I'll help you get settled." As Sue walked away, Gia noticed Director Han watching them from a doorway. When their eyes met, he turned and walked away without expression. Gia looked out the window at the alien landscape. She had come to study new life. But now she felt that something else was waiting for her here. Something hidden behind locked doors and stern faces. Something in Lab Section 7. 2 weeks passed quickly. Gia learned the daily routine of the research station. Wake up at 600. Eat breakfast by 6:30. Work from 700 until 1800. Dinner, then free time until sleep. Every day the same. Her work was boring. They gave her simple tasks. Look at dirt samples under microscopes. Check if anything lived in them. This was work for a student, not someone with her training. "Is this all we do here?" Gia asked Sue one day in the lab. Sue looked around to see if anyone was listening, then spoke softly. Most of us, yes. The real work happens in the restricted labs. Gia had tried to learn more about Lab Section 7, but every time she asked, people changed the subject. Computer searches for Section 7 found nothing. I can show you something, Sue said, but you must not tell anyone. After their shift ended, Sue led Gia to a quiet corner of the lab. She pulled out a small container from her pocket. Look at this. I took it from a sample that was going to Section 7. Inside was a drop of red liquid. Under the microscope, Gia could see it wasn't normal blood. The cells moved in strange ways, changing shape as she watched. What is this? Gia asked. They call it Compound X. It's not from this planet, and it's not just alien DNA. There's something else mixed in. Gia looked closer. The cell structures were unusual, but also somehow familiar. This has human DNA and... Sue nodded. I've been tracking what goes into Section 7, living tissue samples from Earth, strange chemicals, and security gets tighter every month. A sound at the door made them both jump. They quickly put away the sample as a guard walked by. I need to know more, Gia said after the guard left. How can we get into Section 7? Sue pulled out a small card from her lab coat. This is my access card. It won't get you into Section 7, but it will get you into the records room. Tonight I'll create a distraction in the north wing. The guards will be busy for about 10 minutes. That night, Gia waited until the station was quiet. Most people were asleep. At exactly 2300 hours, alarms sounded from the north wing. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Guards ran past her door. Gia slipped out of her room and moved quickly through empty halls. She used Sue's card to enter the records room. Inside were computer terminals and file cabinets. She searched the computer for Compound X and found hundreds of files, but most were locked. One file opened, Project Hybrid, Status Report 12. The file showed pictures of microbes changing over time. Human cells mixed with alien cells. The report used big scientific words, but Gia understood enough. They were trying to combine human and alien DNA. The last page had pictures of test subjects. Gia gasped. One woman in the pictures looked just like her. A noise in the hallway warned her that guards were coming back. She quickly closed the files and hid behind a large cabinet. Director Han entered with Security Chief Do. The break-in at the North Lab was just a distraction, Do said. Someone is testing our security. Increase guards around Section 7, Han ordered. The project is too important. If anyone discovers what we're doing, it would end everything. What? About the new scientist, Gia? She asks too many questions. Han was quiet for a moment. Keep watching her. She may be useful to the project. Her DNA profile is very close to what we need. And if she discovers the truth, then she becomes part of the project, not just a researcher. The men left, and Gia stayed hidden, her heart beating fast. They were using alien DNA for some secret project, and somehow she was connected to it. As she carefully made her way back to her room, she passed a hallway that led to Section 7. 2. Guards stood at a heavy door. Through a small window, she could see bright blue light inside. Whatever was in there, she now knew it wasn't just about studying alien life. It was about creating something new, something that might involve her own blood, and she was determined to find out what it was before she became part of their experiment. Gia couldn't sleep. The faces from the files kept appearing in her mind. That woman who looked like her. Who was she? And why did Director Han say Gia's DNA was very close to what we need? She met Sue early the next morning in an empty hallway. Need to get into Section 7, Gia whispered. Tonight. Sue looked worried. It's too dangerous. The guards were doubled after last night. I have to know the truth. Will you help me? Sue was quiet for a long time. Then she handed Gia a small metal object. This is a master key card. I made it by copying parts of different cards. It might work on Section 7, but only once. That night, Gia waited until the station was at its quietest time, 200 hours. Most systems ran on automatic, and guards changed shifts. She slipped out of her room and moved through the shadows. The hallway to Section 7 was empty. Strange, since there should have been guards. Gia moved carefully to the heavy door and used the master key. The light turned green and the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a large lab filled with glowing tanks. Each tank held something floating in clear liquid. Gia moved closer and gasped. The tanks held bodies. Human-looking bodies, but with strange features. Skin with patches of blue. Extra fingers, eyes too large. At the center of the room was a special tank, larger than the others. Gia walked toward it, drawn by something she couldn't understand. Inside was a young woman, asleep or unconscious. Her skin was normal except for faint blue lines like veins. Her face was so similar to Gia's that they could be sisters. Nearby was a computer. Gia touched the screen and it came to life. Files opened automatically as if the computer had been waiting for her. Project Hybrid, Special Subject 7, said the file title. Gia began to read. 20 years ago, Earth sent a secret mission to a distant planet. They found an advanced alien race called the Mach. The Mach shared their knowledge with the humans, including their DNA. They believed humans would use it for peaceful research. But the Coalition had other plans. They used the alien DNA to create new life forms, human-alien hybrids with special powers, stronger bodies, faster healing, minds that could do things normal humans couldn't. Most experiments failed. The hybrids died or were too unstable. But one scientist had a different idea. Dr. Kim Hai took some of the alien DNA and mixed it with her own. Then she had a child, a normal human baby girl who carried the alien DNA hidden in her cells. That baby was Gia. The file showed pictures of Dr. Kim. She looked just like the woman Gia had called Mother, who died during a routine space mission. When Gia was 5, Gia felt sick. Her whole life had been a lie. She wasn't just a scientist chosen for this mission. She was part of the experiment. And the woman in the tank? According to the files, she was created using Gia's mother's DNA mixed with more Mach DNA, a hybrid, Gia's half-sister. The light suddenly turned bright and alarms sounded. Gia spun around to find Sue standing in the doorway with Director Han and 4 guards. "I'm sorry, Gia," Sue said. Her face was sad but cold. "I had to tell them." "You did." "Well, Officer Sue," said Han. He looked at Gia without emotion. "Did you really think we wouldn't know you were coming? We've been watching you since before you arrived." "What have you done here?" Gia asked, her voice shaking. "What are you doing?" To her, she pointed at the woman in the tank. "We're finishing what your mother started," Han said. "And now that you're here, we can complete the final phase." He nodded to the guards. "Take her to Lab 8. Prepare her for the procedure." As the guards moved toward her, Gia looked back at the woman in the tank. To her shock, the woman's eyes were open, staring right at her. The guards took Gia to Lab 8, a small white room with a metal table in the center. They made her sit in a chair and left her alone. The door locked with a loud click. 10 minutes later, Sue entered. She wore a black uniform now, not her lab coat. A silver badge on her chest showed she was not just a lab worker. "You lied to me," Gia said. "I am Coalition Intelligence," Sue replied. "My job was to watch you from the moment you arrived." "Why me? Because of my mother? Because of my DNA?" Sue sat down across from her. "Both. We've been watching you your whole life, Gia. Your school tests, your medical exams, your interest in alien biology. None of it was by chance." Director Han entered with a tablet computer. He placed it on the table and played a video. It showed Gia's mother in a lab coat speaking to the camera. "This is Dr. Kim Hai, Day 74 of the Mach Contact mission," her mother said. "The aliens continue to share their genetic material freely. They believe we will use it to cure diseases to help all people. If they knew our real plans..." The video stopped. Han looked at Gia. "Your mother was brilliant. She saw what the Mach DNA could do. Not just cure diseases, but make humans better, stronger, smarter. But she became weak. She wanted to stop the military applications. So you killed her? Gia asked, her hands tight on the edge of the table. She had an accident, Han said coldly. But before that, she did something no one expected. She used the mock DNA on herself, then had a child. You. Gia felt sick. I'm not one of your experiments. No. You're something better. A natural hybrid. The mock DNA in your cells is stable. It's part of you. But it's sleeping, inactive. Sue touched the tablet, showing pictures of the woman in the tank. This is Subject 7, created using your mother's DNA and active mock genes. She has all the abilities we want. Strength, healing, mental powers. But she remains unconscious. Her mind is caught between human and alien. What do you want from me? Gia asked. We think your presence, your DNA, might wake her fully. Hani said. Siblings often have special bonds. This one might be stronger because of the shared alien DNA. And if I refuse to help? Han's face showed no emotion. Then we take what we need from you. Blood, tissue, brain matter. It doesn't require your cooperation. Sue looked uncomfortable. Director, we should explain the bigger picture. Han nodded. The mock didn't just share their DNA for kindness. They wanted to learn about us too. They're coming back, Gia, soon. And when they discover what we've done with their gifts, there will be war. Unless we have our own mock human soldiers ready, Sue added. Your half-sister in that tank could be the first of many. Our protection against the aliens who think they're our friends. Gia felt her anger rising. The mock shared their knowledge. To help us. And you turned it into weapons. We did what was necessary for human survival, Han said. The mock are not gods bringing gifts. They're conquerors playing a long game. We're just playing it better. An alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Sue rushed to a screen on the wall. There's a problem in Section 7. The hybrid. What about her? Han demanded. She's awake. And all her readings are off the charts. Han turned to Gia with cold fury. What did you do in that lab? Did you wake her somehow? Before Gia could answer, the lights went out. Emergency power came on seconds later, casting everything in dim red light. Lock down the facility, Han ordered. No one enters or leaves Section 7. Sue looked at the screen again, her face pale. It's too late. She's already out of her tank. And Sue stopped, her eyes wide with fear. She's what? Han demanded. She's coming this way. Lock her in here, Han ordered, pointing at Gia. And bring all security to Section 7. Sue pushed Gia into a small room and locked the door. Gia heard them running away. She looked around, searching for a way out. The room had no windows, just a desk and chair. Suddenly, the lights went off again. When they came back on, the door was open. Gia stepped into the hallway. It was empty. She could hear alarms and shouting from far away. She knew she should run, try to find a ship and escape. But something pulled her toward Section 7 instead. As she got closer, she saw signs of fighting. Guards lay on the floor. They weren't dead, just unconscious. Doors had been torn open. Equipment was broken. Then she saw her. The woman from the tank stood at the end of a hallway. She wore a simple white medical gown. Her skin had a slight blue glow in the red emergency lights. Her wet hair stuck to her face. But her eyes, they were bright and alert, looking straight at Gia. You, the woman said, her voice rough from never being used before. You are like me. Gia took a step forward. My name is Gia. I think we're sisters, half-sisters. The woman tilted her head like she was listening to something Gia couldn't hear. Then she walked forward, her movements becoming smoother with each step. They hurt me, she said. For years. Tests, pain. I was awake but couldn't move, couldn't speak. I'm sorry, Gia said. I didn't know you existed until today. The woman was close now. You have a name for me? Gia thought for a moment. Ara. It means sea in Korean, because your skin has a blue glow like the ocean. Ira smiled slightly. Then she reached out and touched Gia's face. At that moment, something strange happened. Gia felt a rush of images, and feelings flood her mind. She saw Ara's memories, years floating in the tank, aware but unable to move. Scientists poking, testing, hurting. She felt Ara's loneliness and pain. At the same time, Ara's eyes widened. She was seeing Gia's memories. A normal life on Earth, school, friends, looking at stars and dreaming of other worlds. "We are connected," Ara said, pulling her hand back. "Mind to mind. Blood to blood." "How is this possible?" Gia asked, shaking. "From the experience. The mock DNA," Ara explained. "It allows minds to touch. They didn't know I could do this, but I couldn't reach anyone. Until you came." Suddenly, they heard boots on the floor. Guards were coming, weapons ready. "We need to leave," Gia said. "They'll put you back in that tank. They'll use us both for their weapons program." Ara turned toward the sound of the guards. Her face became hard. "No more tanks, no more tests." 6 guards came around the corner, weapons pointed at them. "Don't move," one shouted. "On the ground now." Ara raised her hand. The guards stopped, moving. Their weapons fell to the floor. Slowly, they all sat down, their eyes confused. "What did you do to them?" Gia asked, amazed. "I touched their minds, made them stop. I didn't hurt them." Ara looked at Gia. "I didn't come for blood, but I won't be their prisoner again." They heard more guards coming. "We need to find a ship," Gia said. "Get off this planet." Ara shook her head. "No, there is something else coming. Something bigger." She pointed up. "From there, I can feel them." "The mock," Gia whispered. "They're coming back." "Yes," Ara said, "and they are angry." A huge boom shook the station. Dust fell from the ceiling. "What was that?" Gia asked. Director Han's voice came over the speakers. "Attention all personnel. Unknown ship has entered orbit. Our defense systems have engaged. This is not a drill. Prepare for possible invasion." Ara looked at Gia, her eyes glowing slightly. "Blue. The real war begins now. We must choose our side." "I already have," Gia said. "I'm with you." Through their new mental connection, Gia felt Ara's gratitude and determination. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The entire station shook again. Emergency lights flashed as Gia and Ara ran through the corridors. "Where are we going?" Gia asked. "Control room," Ara answered. "We need to see what's happening." They turned a corner and found 5 guards blocking their path. Before Gia could stop, Ara stepped forward and raised her hand. The guards dropped to their knees, holding their heads. "I told them to sleep," Ara explained as they passed the now unconscious men. "Their minds are simple to touch." Another explosion rocked the station. This one was closer, making them grab the walls to stay standing. "That wasn't from space," Gia said. "That was inside the station." They reached the main control room. Through the large windows, they could see a massive ship in orbit. It was unlike any human ship Gia had ever seen. Long and silver with blue lights running along its sides, it looked like a sea creature swimming through space. "The mock," Ara whispered. "Our ancestors." Inside the control room, Director Han was shouting orders. "Fire again! Use all planetary defenses!" On the screens, Gia could see missiles launching from the surface toward the alien ship. The mock ship didn't try to dodge. Instead, the missiles simply disappeared before hitting it. "Some kind of defense shield," Sue said, now standing next to Han. "Nothing is getting through." Han turned and saw Gia and Ara at the door. His face showed fear for the first time. "How did you get here?" he demanded. "Security. Take them." But the few guards in the room stepped back when Ara looked at them. They had seen what happened to the others. "Your weapons won't work," Ara said calmly. "The mock are too advanced. You shouldn't have fired on them." A new alarm sounded. Sue looked at a screen with wide eyes. Multiple energy signatures inside the station. "They're teleporting in." Han grabbed a weapon. All security teams, converge. On teleport locations, shoot anything that isn't human. Gia felt something through her connection with Ara. A new presence, powerful and old. They're coming here, she told Han. To this room. As she spoke, the air in the center of the room began to shimmer. 3 tall figures appeared. They were humanoid, but clearly not human. Their skin was blue with patterns like waves. They had no hair, and their eyes were large, completely black. They wore simple silver suits that seemed to flow like liquid. The tallest Mock stepped forward. His eyes moved from Han to Sue, then settled on Ara and Gia. "Blood of our blood," he said in perfect Korean. "We have found you at last." Han raised his weapon and fired. The blast hit some kind of invisible shield in front of the Mock and disappeared. "Foolish," the Mock said. "As was your attack on our ship, as was your betrayal of our trust." Ara stepped forward. "Who are you?" "I am Jin, commander of the Mock science vessel. We came to see how humans used our gifts." His face showed sadness. "Instead, we find you have used them to create weapons." Han laughed bitterly. "Of course we did. Did you think we would just wait for you to come back and conquer us?" Jin looked confused. "Conquer? We have no interest in conquest. We shared our genetic knowledge freely, hoping to help your people grow." "Lies," Han spat. "We know what you really are." Jin turned to Gia and Aura. "These two carry our blood. One naturally given, one forced through painful science." He extended his hand. "Come with us. Learn the truth of your heritage." Ara looked at Gia. Through their mental link, Gia could feel Ara's confusion and hope. Gia nodded slightly. "We will." "Come," Ara said. "No!" Han shouted. He pressed a button on his wrist. "If I can't have the weapons we made, no one will." Alarms blared again, but these were different, more urgent. "Self-destruct sequence activated," said the computer voice. 15 minutes to complete station destruction." Jin's face became stern. "You would destroy all these lives to hide your crimes?" The station shook violently. More explosions could be heard in the distance. "It's begun," Han said with a cold smile. "Nothing can stop it now." Pain turned to warmth that spread through Gia's body. Her skin began to glow with a soft blue light like Ara's. When she opened her eyes, the world looked different. She could see energy flowing through walls, people, and machines. 9 minutes to self-destruct. "I can see everything," Gia said, standing up. "The station's systems, the people, the countdown." Jin nodded. "Now you must use what you see. Together with Ara, find a way to save these people." Gia took Ara's hand. Their mental link was now much stronger. Together they could sense the entire station. "We need to warn everyone," Gia said. "And we need to show the truth to Earth." She walked to the main communication panel. It responded to her touch in a new way. Screens lit up around the room. "This is Gia Kim. I am broadcasting to all personnel and to Earth Command. The station will self-destruct in less than 9 minutes. This is not a drill." She sent mental images to Ara, who helped her access the station's data files. "I am sending proof of what has really happened here. The Coalition has been creating human-alien hybrids as weapons. They fired on the Mock ship when it arrived peacefully. Director Han activated self-destruct to hide the evidence. Screens throughout the station showed files, videos, and images of the secret experiments. The Mock are not our enemies. They helped humanity in the past and came back to help again. Now they are trying to save us." Han lunged forward, breaking free from his guards. He grabbed a weapon from a fallen security officer and aimed at Gia. "Traitor to your species," he shouted. Before he could fire, Ara stopped him with her mind. He froze in place, unable to move. 8 minutes to self-destruct. "We need to get to the main control room on level B5, Gia said. "It's our only chance to stop the countdown." Jin nodded. "I will teleport you there. My people will begin evacuating the station in case you fail." With a flash of light, Gia and Ara appeared in a new room deep in the station. This was the main control center, filled with large computers and screens. 4 armed guards immediately pointed weapons at them. "Stop," Gia called out. The station is going to explode. We're trying to save everyone." The guards looked uncertain. They had seen Gia's broadcast. "Is it true?" one asked. "About the experiments? About the mock?" "All of it," Ara said. "Director Han lied to all of us." The guards lowered their weapons. "How can we help?" 7 minutes to self-destruct. Gia and Ara approached the main computer. Together, they placed their hands on the control panel. Through their new abilities, they could see the self-destruct program running like a river of light through the system. "It's locked with multiple codes," Gia said. "We can't stop it directly." "Then we go around it," Ara suggested. "Change the target." Through their mental link, they began to redirect the destructive energy. Instead of targeting the station's reactor, they aimed it at the weapon systems only. 6 minutes to self-destruct. More mock appeared in the room. "We have begun evacuating the science teams," one reported. "Many of your people are resisting." "Show this on all screens," Gia said. She connected her mind to the station's cameras, showing the mock helping humans to safety, teleporting them to their ship. 5 minutes to self-destruct. Suddenly, new ships appeared on the scanners. Earth Coalition, vessels heavily armed. "They're responding to Han's distress call," a guard explained. "They think we're under attack." The lead Earthship sent a message. "This is Admiral Park. We are prepared to engage the alien vessel. All station personnel, prepare for rescue." "No," Gia shouted into the communication system. "The mock are helping us." Han tried to destroy the station to hide illegal experiments. She sent all the evidence to the Earthships. For long moments there was silence. 4 minutes to self-destruct. "We have redirected 60% of the destructive energy," Ara reported. "But the reactor will still be damaged." Finally, Admiral Park's voice came back. "To all coalition forces, stand down. Do not engage the mock vessel. Assist with evacuation." Gia felt relief wash over her. But they weren't safe yet. 3 minutes to self-destruct. 2 minutes to self-destruct. Gia and Ara worked together, their minds joined, hands glowing blue on the control panels. They had redirected most of the destructive energy, but the station would still be heavily damaged. "We need to get everyone out," Gia said. Jin appeared beside them with Sue. "Most people are now on our ship or the Earth vessels. But Han has escaped and barricaded himself in the weapons control room. He's trying to launch missiles at our ship." 1 minute and 30 seconds to self-destruct. Sue looked at the screens. "He's overriding safety protocols. If he fires those missiles while the self-destruct is happening, the explosion could reach the planet's surface. We have to stop him," Gia said. Jin nodded. "I will take you there." In a flash, they appeared in the weapons control room. Han stood at the main console, typing furiously. When he saw them, he drew a gun. "Stay back," he shouted. "I won't let aliens control humanity's future." 1 minute to self-destruct. "Han, it's over," Gia said. "Earth knows the truth now. The mock aren't our enemies." "You're wrong," Han said, his finger hovering over the launch button. "They've been controlling us for centuries, making us dependent on them. This ends today." Gia stepped forward. "No more people need to die. Please." Han fired his gun. The bullet struck Gia in the shoulder. She fell to her knees in pain. Ara cried out and rushed to her sister. Through their mental link, she helped Gia control the pain. 45 seconds to self-destruct. Han turned back to the console. "When these missiles hit their ship, Earth will have no choice but to fight." Jin remained calm. "You still do not understand. We could have destroyed your people at any time over thousands of years if that was our goal. We chose to help instead." 30 seconds to self-destruct. Gia stood, up, her wound already healing because of her new mock DNA. She reached out with her mind, connecting to Han's thoughts. She didn't try to control him like Ara could. Instead, she showed him images. The truth of the mock, their history of helping humans, their hope for peaceful cooperation. 20 seconds to self-destruct. Han paused, his hand shaking above the launch button. Doubt crossed his face. "Even if what you show me is true," he said, How can we trust any being so much more powerful than us? The same way a child trusts a parent, Gia said, by learning from them until we grow strong enough to stand as equals. 10 seconds. 9. 8. Han's hand slowly moved away from the button. What have I done? He whispered. Ara reached the console and quickly entered commands. Too late. To stop it completely. 3, 2, 1. The station shook violently. Lights flickered and died. Emergency systems activated, casting everything in dim red light. Partial self-destruct complete, said the computer. Weapon systems destroyed, reactor damage at 58%, life support failing. Jin looked at them all. We must leave now. With a flash of light, they appeared on the mock ship. Through large windows, they could see the research station, parts of it dark or damaged but not completely destroyed. You did it, Sue said to Gia and Ara. You saved most of the station and everyone aboard. Han stood silently, looking out at what he had almost completely destroyed. 6 months later, Gia stood on a grassy hill on Earth, watching children play. Some were human, some were the freed hybrids like Ara. After the truth was revealed, the coalition had been disbanded. A new interstellar council was formed with both human and mock members. Ara sat next to her, her skin still with that slight blue glow. Do you regret it? Ara asked. Activating your mock DNA? Becoming something new? Gia smiled. No, I came to that station to study alien life. Instead, I found it was part of me all along. And now we're building something better together, Ara said, watching the children. A mock ship flew overhead, now a common sight in Earth's skies. The mock had kept their promise, sharing knowledge but letting humans choose their own path. We didn't come for blood, Gia said, remembering Han's fear of alien conquest. But we found ours, our shared ancestry, our common future. And we took theirs not through violence but by showing them a better way. Ara nodded, taking her sister's hand. Together they walked toward the children, the first generation of a new understanding between two peoples bound by blood.